Hey guys, this is going to be my movie review for the Expendables 3, which is the third movie in the franchise, just in case you didn't know. And the question that I will be answering today is, should you go ahead and watch this movie? Should you spend 2 hours of your life on this movie? Should you waste 10 bucks on this movie? And the answer to that question, it was an okay movie. I did enjoy some parts of it, and there were parts where it was really funny, but overall I feel like this movie lacked. And I have not seen the first or second one in theater, so this is the first time I've seen an Expendables movies in theater. And I know this is the first movie of the franchise that is PG-13, which has its drawbacks. Yeah, it just has drawbacks. The only thing that would be a pro in that case would be just for them, because they can make more money, because people under 18 can go watch this movie. But I digress. Call of Duty, Black Ops, Zombies? No? Okay, I'll stop. So there is some good things about this movie. Like I said, the comedy, the one specific actor, everything else seemed kind of lackluster. The movie kind of seemed a little bit boring at times. Now keep in mind that when I went to go watch this movie, I knew that I was going in to watch an action movie, and the plot and script wasn't going to be the biggest point of the movie. It was simply just going to be guns, shooting, explosions, and testosterone driven crazy badasses, and I was totally okay with that. I had that mindset going into the movie, but there was a part, a good half an hour, 45 minutes maybe of this movie, that it was just talking and boring talking, and it was just like, okay, can we get back to the explosions please? And talking about the explosions, some of these explosions or stuff getting blown up or stuff getting crashed or action sequences or CGI. What does that mean? Computer generated imagery. It looked fake. It wasn't even well done. And I personally don't mind CGI if it's done very well, of course. If it's not done well and you can tell that it's fake, I get out of the movie and I'm not into the movie, as opposed to if it was practical effects and there was a car that actually did get exploded. And my question is, I know that they have the money to make these explosions and these things happen, because this is the third movie in the franchise. These are all big action stars, and there's several of these action stars put into a movie that's going to draw a lot of attention. So I know they have the money. Maybe they just got lazy. More than likely they had to do that because of the PG-13 rating. Another thing I do want to say is that they're claiming that all of these action stars are in this movie, and to be honest, a lot of these stars are only in this movie for maybe a scene, 5 minutes or so. There is one guy that I was really looking forward to seeing this movie, because I think he's a badass and funny person. He's only in the movie for 5 minutes at the beginning, and then he came out like 5 minutes later on, and that was it. Same thing with a lot of these actors. They were only in it for a couple minutes or a couple scenes in the movie. The only people who were really kept constant throughout, I'm pretty sure you can guess who was kept constant throughout the movie. Speaking of actors, I do want to say that the new Expendables, or the new recruits, or whatever you want to call them, they were kind of just there. They had an introduction that was like, I'm coming here with my shirt off, or I'm in a red dress, and I'm sexy as hell, but I'm the bouncer and I kick this guy's ass for fighting in my bar, or I'm the guy who's fighting pigs in the mud or something. That was just the introduction to these Expendables. There was no backstory, there was no character development to them. It was just like, here are these new guys. Yeah, that's it. It was just, here are these new guys. And I do recognize the one character from Twilight. He's not as pale as he was, which is a good thing. He's looking a little bit sick, a little tad sick. And I feel like maybe he probably had the most character development, simply because people would recognize him more. But his character development was just like, I'm the guy that doesn't like to take orders. I'm going to talk to Sylvester Stallone more than everybody else. That was basically it. And as far as the rest of the actors, there were times where they were kind of making fun of themselves, the older actors that is. They were making fun of characters that they portrayed in previous movies in the 80s and 90s. For example, and this is not really a spoiler, but towards the end of the movie, Arnold Schwarzenegger kept saying, let's get back to the chopper, we need to get to the chopper. And I was like, the first time I was like, that's funny, I get it. But then the second, third, fourth time, it was like, alright, it's getting overdone, like it's not as funny, we get it. It's not, things like that were just kind of getting overdone. But don't get me wrong, there was still funny moments in this movie, definitely several funny moments. And Antonio Banderas, he was in this movie and he was pretty funny. He was that one random keep talking guy. I enjoyed his performance. There were times when I can see people getting annoyed by this character, but I thought it was just funny because everyone else in the movie itself was getting annoyed by it, and there was comedic moments, very funny moments. I think a lot, not most, were with Antonio Banderas. But now this brings me on to the one actor that I really liked in this movie, and that was Mel Gibson. He played the villain in this movie. He was such a menacing character. And keep in mind, Mel Gibson isn't big and he's not buff and he's old. So what's very menacing about him? Just his demeanor, the way he was talking, the way his ferocity, the way he just carried himself out. It was so good, and I was genuinely afraid of this guy. If I saw this guy in real life, I'd be like, yo, don't talk to me, I'll run away or something. I'll bow down to you, just don't kill me, okay? There was this one scene in the movie where it was him and Sylvester Stallone in the back of the van, and they were kind of going back and forth of like why Mel Gibson's character is the way he is and why he turned the way he was, and kind of the path between both of them, this and that. And it was such an intense, such a riveting scene that I really enjoyed, and I was really into it. I was like, oh my god! And then I kind of knew what was going to happen afterwards, but even then it caught me by surprise, and it was so good, so badass. The best scenes were with Mel Gibson, and then the end kind of climax scene with him as well. Very well done. That concludes my movie review. Like I said, it was lacking a little bit in a couple of parts. It did get boring sometimes, but there were funny moments. The action scenes, for the most part, were enthralling, and I was into them, and I was, getting really pumped up for them. And Mel Gibson's character really makes up for a lot of the things that this movie lacks. So I'm gonna give this movie a B-. Would I go watch it in theaters? Probably not, but I would rent it once it comes out on Redbox. If you guys disagree with me, it's okay. Go ahead and tell me in the comments. Like, subscribe, follow me on Twitter and Instagram at EFRENRJR. Thank you guys for watching, and until next time.